We have a lot to talk about. The fact that I'm making this video means that I've read all the books, which is devastating to me because, like, Sarah J. Maas, the woman that you are. I have a Goodreads. I'm gonna be kind of reading off of that because I needed to get all my thoughts in order. How do I even begin? I need a glass of wine. Hold that thought. Okay, guys. These fucking slippers, sorry, I'm trying not to curse as much. I'm gonna get into the sponsored part of this video in a second, but guys, these slippers are so comfortable. Like, I'm walking on clouds right now. I went to grab my wine. Those 10 steps I just took were amazing. I'm being so serious. This is gonna be rough, saying goodbye to this series today. Every time that I think about this series, I cry. I've had dreams about this series. I listen to music and think about this series. Every time, anytime Taylor Swift comes on, I'm thinking about Aelin Galathynius. I'm a Throne of Glass girl through and through. This series is the best series I've ever read in my life. It's truly a masterpiece. It's a work of art. Her writing has been so unbelievably inspiring for me as a writer, and it makes me want to write fantasy novels, but I know I can't do that because for my own sake, I don't think I'd be able to take it. The respect that I have as a reader for fantasy authors, unbelievable. Your Mind, Sarah J. Maas, is unbelievable. Me and Emma were reading the series at the same time, and she finished it after me. I'm not gonna do any spoilers. I'm gonna try my best not to. That's Emma reading Kingdom of Ash.
No, stop. I can't emphasize this enough of how sad I am this fucking series is done, because it's like I wanted to finish it, but I didn't want to finish it because I wasn't ready for it to be over, and I'm still not over it. There's so much to discuss. Like, I'm so unbelievably empty. I'm so empty.
If you're gonna read this, guys, get ready. Get ready. Let's talk about it. The way that I read the series is how I recommend you reading the series. Again, to each their own, but if you guys are taking my word for it, start with The Assassin's Blade. This book changed me. Like, guys, it's so crazy because it's literally a prequel, and so many people weren't into it because it's kind of a collection of short stories about the female main character, Selena Sardathian. I can't talk about this, I'm freaking out. If you don't start with this, I can't imagine not starting with it. I really can't. So you really get to know her, and she's in the entire series, and you get to know why she is the way that she is, and it is just she has such a beautiful story. There's a very monumental thing that happens in this book, and it shapes her as a human being for the rest of the series. Guys, every time I think of Sam Cortland, I want to pull my hair out. I rated The Assassin's Blade 5 stars, and I stick with that rating. I think that it is such a phenomenal book. It's one of my favorites in the entire series. This is my Goodreads review. I'm aware this is an unpopular opinion, but this book was my second favorite of the series behind Kingdom of Ash. I can't imagine reading the entire series without reading this. It's so impressive how every decision made by Sarah as a writer comes into play later on, let alone the romance in this book, which in my opinion was beautifully done. Again, waterworks. And I stand by that. I think that it's probably my second favorite book in the entire series because every single thing that she wrote in that book comes into play. It comes into play. And I can't even imagine, like, as a writer, guys, her mind to have been able to plan everything out like that beforehand is crazy. Before we continue, I would like to thank the sponsor of this week's video, Bombas. Full transparency, I started wearing their socks because of our partnership, and guys, I know this is sponsored, but I'm being for real. The most comfortable socks I've ever worn in my life. They're so warm and just so comfortable. I'm not kidding. I feel like I'm walking on a cloud. Anyway, let me just shove my feet in your face. This is ridiculous. I'm gonna take one off so I can show you guys how cute they are. They're so cute and soft and thick and just wonderful. And I'm very excited to have them because I'm moving to New York next week, and they're warm. They're gonna keep me warm. I also got this pair of slippers from Bombas. I mean, I don't even know how to express this further. These are the most comfortable things that have ever graced my feet before. I'm obsessed with them. I'm gonna be living in them. I'm so excited. I've been in need of a good house slipper because I hate being barefoot. I always need to have socks on my feet, except for when I'm sleeping. Anyway, one of the biggest reasons I wanted to work with Bombas for this video and just in general, and I'm so excited to do this partnership, is because they are giving back, and for every item that you purchase, they donate an item for those in need, which is incredible. Bombas has actually donated over 140 million items. Every Bombas item is designed thoughtfully for comfort, which means there's no annoying toe seams or anything on their socks. They're genuinely so comfortable. Their t-shirts don't have any itchy tags, and their underwear has minimized seaming so that it can be comfortable all day long. Bombas makes the number 1, number 2, and number 3 most requested items in homeless shelters, which includes socks, t-shirts, and underwear, and they donate these every single day. Bombas has a happiness guarantee, which means 100% of the time you will get free returns and exchanges, even if a dog eats your socks, or a cat, in my case. For reference, I got these Sunday slippers, and they're literally so comfortable. I wish you guys could put your feet in them. Okay. Thank you, Bombas, for sponsoring this video. It is truly there's literally an ant crawling across the camera right now. Can you see it? Okay, I'm gonna let him live. Thank you, Bombas, for sponsoring this week's video. It's truly an honor. I think that everything that they're doing is genuinely so wonderful, and you guys should check them out if you want the most comfortable socks ever, and if you want to splurge, treat yourself while also giving back at the same time. New customers get 20% off their first purchase. You can use my QR code or click the link in my description. With that being said, let's continue to talk about the most mind-blowing series I've ever read. The Assassin's Blade, 5 stars, beautifully written. I mean, I just can't believe the way that this book specifically ties the entire story in, and it's a prequel. It's just unbelievable. Next up, I read Throne of Glass. I did this weird thing where I got 2 of them as hardcovers, and then I got the rest not. And the reason I did that, honestly, is because hardcovers are really expensive, and I didn't want to spend that much money on it. Also, I like to annotate my books, and I like the feel of them being just kind of worn in. Some people read this book first. I recommend to read The Assassin's Blade first, but this is a great book. It's got it all. It's got enemies to lovers. It's got the love triangle, the strong female lead, the training trope of it all. Like, all the tropes, all the really good tropes are in here. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, that this was Sarah J. Maas's first book. I mean, the improvement of her writing throughout the series is incredible. So I rated this book 3 stars. It's an incredible book. The only reason I gave it 3 stars is because I'm trying not to give everything 5 stars. I'm trying to like actually rate it in my mind from what I enjoyed the most. I just think that in comparison to the rest of the series, this book wasn't my favorite. Knowing this was Sarah's first book makes me love it even more. However, compared to the rest of the series, it didn't have me completely hooked. I still thoroughly enjoyed it, but I'm glad I started with Assassin's Blade. Yeah, I agree with that. Dorian, the man that you are, you have ruined, actually, romance for me. I'm never, ever going to feel the way that I feel with Dorian. I can't help it. I'm in love with him. Gosh, I want to read this series again for the first time, guys. Okay, well, yeah. Oh, my heart. Reading this and knowing that she met Kale and Dorian at the ball with Sam and then going into this is so mind-blowing. Next is Crown of Midnight. Kingdom of Ash is 1,000 pages. Like, these are hefty books, and there's so much that happens that I forget where it starts and ends. Like, I honestly forget what part this book is. That's why I wanted to do the Goodreads before making this video, because I knew I needed to like get my ducks in a row. I said, this book was so good, it got me so excited to read the rest of the series. In Sarah fashion, the ending will have you at the edge of your seat. A great sequel that sets you up for a roller coaster you're about to go on. I'm being so articulate in these reviews. Like, nobody's reading them. I rated it 4 stars. I stand by that. What happened at the end? What am I talking about? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That was crazy. The mystery, like, Oh, the ending is so good. Aelin coming, I'm trying not to spoil anything, but you meet Aelin in this book and it's just insane. The way that this is written is like so mysterious and ominous and just like, this would be a really great book to read in the fall. So now, read it now. Yeah, I actually loved reading this so much. The vibe of it is just really great. And the romance in this is also really, really great. Love triangle, again, keeps going into that. And then there's like an enemies to lovers to lovers to enemies, and it's phenomenal. I miss my wife. I miss Aelin. Okay, next was Heir of Fire. Rowan, man. Rowan. This is an insane book. I rated this 4 stars, but honestly, looking back at it, like, I think it's a 5-star book for me. I said, one of my biggest takeaways from this book is how accurately and beautifully grief is written about. I felt so many emotions reading it and got to see so much of every character. One of the best depictions of loss and humanity, no pun intended, that I've read in a long time. A little slow at the start, but a great 4-star read overall. I disagree with what I wrote. I think this is a 5-star book. Since I started my reading journey, well, I've always been a reader, but like really reading this year, this is probably one of the best depictions of grief I've ever read. Like, the way it's written is just so beautiful and real and raw and accurate. It really made me feel, it was very thought-provoking for me to read this book. You get to really get to know Celaena Sardothien in this book even further than that, and that's the thing about the series, is you get to know her from the beginning of her life. You really understand her mind, her heart, and you just fall in love with her, so you get so unbelievably attached. I felt so many emotions. I was like feeling for her, like as if she was my best friend going through it. It was crazy. Besides that, Rowan is, I hated him at first, I'm not gonna lie. I did hate him at first because he's an asshole, but then the banter, 10 out of 10. The enemies to lovers, again, 10 out of 10. Slow burn, a good one too. They have such a great slow burn. I love when there's a real slow burn. I don't like when they're like, oh, I hate you, never mind, I love you. No, you get it here. Like, for books, for multiple books, it's like this will they, won't they moment, and it's so good. I don't know how to really like do this because I'm trying to give a book review and like give my reactions and stuff and talk about things, but I don't want to spoil anything. So am I just repeating the same thing over and over again? Can you guys let me know? Do you guys want me to like talk about things that happen in the books? But then I would spoil it. I don't know. Queen of Shadows. I gave this book a 4 out of 5. I know a lot of people talk about this being a 5-star book, and I can see where they're coming from. This is a hefty one. This one's 600 pages, 650 give or take. And I think this has the same kind of vibe I was talking about with Crown of Midnight, like that like ominous, dark, read it in the fall vibe. In my opinion, this is when Throne of Glass really starts. You meet incredible characters and get to see pieces start to fall into place. I wish I could go back and read this for the first time. I couldn't put it down. Agreed, this is when the story really picks up. Like, everything up until this point is a lot of world building, kind of understanding the history. There's a lot of like family related stuff going on that you have to understand, like the family lines. So I actually recommend looking up a family tree to understand who's related to who and who came from what, and like who, you know, because there's fae and magic involved. Like, you need to understand whose parents or who, so that you can figure out who has magic and who doesn't. It's kind of complicated. So that is my one note I will give. This book confused me in that regard, and I had to look up a family tree, but no big deal. Oh my gosh, guys. No, this book is insane. I think I'm gonna have to give it 5 stars. Sorry that they're all 5 stars. What do you want me to do? Witch Killer, the human, is still inside him. That part was insane. My jaw was on the floor throughout this entire book. Lorcan, oh, you meet everyone. This is when you really meet everyone, and it's so good. The men in this series, guys, is just ridiculous. I love him so much. I need to talk about some of the things that happened. Like, come on, guys, I can't not address the Manon and Dorian of it all. You're joking. This is when you meet Manon, and she is one of my favorite characters ever written. When she said, "But would you bleed red or black?" And Dorian says, "I'll bleed whatever color you tell me to." So that's not real. And where do I find one of them? Where do I find one of them? Where do I find a Lorcan or a Rowan or a Dorian? Guys, this is a 5-star book, actually. I think this one... Oh no! Yeah, this is 5 stars. Why did I give it 4? Because I'm trying to be different, and actually, no, whatever. 5-star book. Sorry, they're all amazing. This book is, like I said, when the story really starts, and you get to know every single main player on the game board here, and you get to know them, and you see when things from even literally this book start falling into play, and it's like this game board, literally, and everything that you thought was irrelevant, it's not. Everything is important. Everything. She's a genius. Oh my gosh, Dorian. I can't with Dorian. Manon is that girl. She's a fucking badass. I'm just gonna read some of my favorite lines because I have a lot of annotations on this one. When I annotate, I highlight some lines that really reach out to me in a writing aspect that I just think are beautifully written. So I'm going to read you guys some of those from each book. Such pain and grief and rage in those eyes, yet somehow, beneath it all, a spark of spirit, of hope. Oh my gosh, this is when the whole Fireheart really comes into play. Every time Rowan says the words Fireheart, I want to explode. But if it was death separating us, I would find you. I don't care how many rules it would break. Even if I had to get all 3 keys myself and open a gate, I would find you again, always. How am I supposed to ever date anybody after reading something like that? Serious question, guys. Please answer. Please comment, because I'm being so serious right now. I like reading you guys some of my favorite quotes, so I'm gonna go back and do that. Sorry that this is a mess and out of order. For this book, I don't even need to read it. My name is Sam Cortland, and I will not be afraid. That is the quote. I don't even need to say anything else about it. That's the quote, and I carry this with me, like, in my heart every day. That quote specifically. Thrown a glass. You could rattle the stars, she whispered. You could do anything if only you dared. And deep down, you know it too. That's what scares you the most. That's so beautiful. Sarah J. Maas. Hopefully I'm convincing you guys to read this by reading you some of her writing. I seriously think that if you like fantasy, this series, you have to read it. In my opinion, right now, from what I've read, this is the best fantasy series ever. Okay, Crown of Midnight. In the darkness of the past 10 years, you were one of the bright lights for me. Do not let that light go out. I'm having fun. This is fun for me. I'm having a great time. Hopefully you guys are also having a great time and I'm not like putting you to sleep right now. All right, well, for some reason I didn't annotate this one. Sorry to disappoint. From there, I went into the tandem read, guys, and I made this cute little list. This is what it looks like. Incredibly intimidating. Made a little checklist. Super crazy, very intimidating. Not as hard as it sounds. I remember when I made this, my last book review video, I'd asked you guys if I should do the tandem read, and most of you said yes, so I took your word for it, and I did it, and I am so grateful that I did that. I cannot imagine reading it any other way. I really urge you to do the tandem read, even though it is a little difficult sometimes, but I'm going to put the checklist here. If you read it separately, you would read Empire of Storms first and then Tower of Dawn, but these two books happen at the same time, the same timeline, in completely different sides of the world. So a lot is happening in this book. This book is unreal. It's the craziest roller coaster of emotions. So you would have to read this book and finish it on a cliffhanger, mind you, and then read this book, which is a little bit more slow paced, actually very much more slow paced. So you would go from this to this and probably get whiplash and I understand how doing that, some people didn't finish this book because they're like, what is happening over here, you know? So that being said, do the tandem read, Empire of Storms. This book, again, Dorian and Manon. Oh! And Abraxos, I love Abraxos so much, side note. Dorian and Manon really, really got me, guys. Got me kicking my feet. But you know who also makes me kick my feet? Lorcan and Elide. Oh my gosh, Lorcan and Elide are epic. I don't know how else to describe them. I think they're so epic. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I did. I said, the only thing I said is emotionally prepare yourself. That is all I have to say about this phenomenal book. This is the book where I feel like the stakes are the highest. Like, every single one of the characters at this point in the series you have built such a relationship with and you genuinely care about. And seeing them go through so much in this book is devastating. It really is. But also, aside from that, the romance in this is unbelievable. Unbelievable. The banter. There's something Sarah J. Maas knows how to write. It's good banter. And it gets me. It gets me. This thing between them, the force of it, could devour the entire world. I want that. I want to feel that. In his wasteland of a soul, Lorcan felt a tug. Lorcan, I can't with you. You are perfect. It is not such a hard thing, is it, to die for your friends? 5 stars. Yeah, 5 stars. There is still enemies to lovers and slow burn, but it's not with the main character, Aelin Galathynius, anymore. But it's so good. It's so good. Lorcan and Elide, their story is so epic to me because they do epic things. I mean, everybody does. So this book leaves off on a huge cliffhanger. Like, guys, the where's my wife of it all? This book had me sobbing. I was down so bad, guys. So I was doing the tandem read. I would read a couple chapters of this and then go to this and be like, what is happening? Because this would have me literally pulling my hair out, and then I'd read this and I'd also pull my hair out. Actually, it was a lot of emotions. Tower of Dawn, I gave 3 stars. And I said, this book gets a bad rep, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. You get so much character development and world building, which I personally love. I will say the Nesrin storyline did bore me at times, but the ending was so good, and I learned to love a lot of the characters. True. The only reason I'm giving it 3 stars, honestly, is because the world, you know, you go through so much world building already to get to this point. You're almost done with the story, and then there's an entire different world that, like, not world, but, you know, there's a different continent that you're learning about and different people. So the world building was a lot to do, especially doing the tandem read, because you're like in the story, so invested in these characters, and you're so stressed out for what's happening with them. And then you go here and you're having to learn about new characters, and you're like, I don't care, I want to know what's happening to Dorian. That's how I felt in the beginning, but I learned to love this book. I really enjoyed it, guys. Like, you just gotta really have an open mind about it. Nesrin's storyline, sorry, I'm just gonna say it, I didn't care. I think I would have cared more if I wasn't reading this at the same time and stressing out for my life. Side note, look at this little bookmark that Austin drew me. Isn't he perfect? The way she wrote this book was beautiful. It's beautifully done, and it's so incredibly detailed. And the world building she does is so good that, like, I know exactly what Antika looks like. I know like, I see it in my brain as if it were a movie, because she's just such a talented writer. Atop his snowy head sat no crown, for gods among mortals did not need markers of their divine rule. They get separated here, they go their separate ways, and you follow both of their journeys. And yeah, Kill isn't my favorite up until this point, so I was not looking forward to reading an entire book about him, and I genuinely ate my words because it's a really great story, and the love in it, the pure love in this book. I think as just someone that's struggled so much with my mental health, the representation in this book for that, and like everything he would say, I would just be like, yeah, yes. And then I felt so deeply for him. In conclusion, Tower of Dawn gets a bad rep, but I think it is really beautiful. This is a weapon. This is hefty, guys. Like, huge. Pulled me apart. Tore me to shreds. and then put me back together. Oh my gosh. Insert footage of me reading this. It is September 15th at 10:10 p.m. I'm in bed. I have about 30 pages of Kingdom of Ash left, and I need to obviously document it because this is a monumental moment in my life. I mean, I've spent the past like month and a half, 2 months completely consumed in this world in Sarah J. Maas's writing, and I need to I should have documented yesterday, honestly. I was in fucking shambles, bawling my eyes out. 1,000 pages of this, 8 books in. It's bittersweet. I'm like kind of heartbroken that I'm gonna be leaving the universe of Throne of Glass, but let's finish the book. Oh my god, this is so brutal. Enough! I have 5 pages left. I cried so hard reading this book, I almost threw up. This is when every single thing that you've read up to this point, every single tiny thing just intertwines and does so seamlessly. Like, your mind, Sarah J. Maas, is incredible. Unbelievable. Wow. Okay. I said if I could give this book 10 stars, I would. It completely consumed me in the best way possible. The way the entire series blends into itself in this book is incredible. Beware, the waterworks were activated. One of the best books I've ever read. True. First of all, this is just heartbreaking. The first half, the whole thing is heartbreaking. Gut-wrenching. You watch the characters that you have spent this long loving and getting to know go through so much and sacrifice so much and just do so willingly for the people that they love, and the message is so beautiful. Yeah, I bawled my eyes out. Liv Manon. Not gonna talk too much about this because I'll spoil something. I cannot believe I'm going to cry. Close the gate, Adian. Oh, no. The relationship between Aelin and Fenris and the blinking and the code and like this deep understanding that they have for each other, for their suffering, and like the level of love and friendship in this book is just, guys, it literally hurts. It hurts. Perhaps a weapon in its own right, to make people believe him gentle-hearted and weak, to mask the sharp mind and sharper instincts behind it. Who do you wish to be? Someone worthy of my friends. I'm so sad that I read this book. Like, I'm so sad that I'm never going to be able to read it for the first time again. We'll face it together, he swore again. And if the cost of it truly is you, then we'll pay it together as one soul in 2 bodies. As one soul in 2 bodies. The entire time you're reading this, you're just like, what is happening? Like, what is going to happen? How are they going to get out of this? There's nothing they can do. There isn't much spice in these books at all, actually. Like, maybe a couple chapters. I'd say like maximum 10 in the entire series. And I really appreciated it because it's just so much deeper than that, and you really feel it. Like, you feel the love without all of the sex, and I really loved that part of it. I think that overall the message of the series is how small acts of kindness can literally change the world. I think about Sam Cortland daily. You do not yield. When I think about that quote, guys, like, immediate waterworks. As someone that struggles with her mental health, like, being able to just completely submerge myself in this universe that's so magical and beautiful was such an escape for me. Reading this series made me fall so deeply in love with reading fantasies and reading in general. That is my book review. That is my Throne of Glass book review. I'm sorry if I just went in circles and said the same thing over and over again, but if you guys please wouldn't mind leaving some comments and telling me what you want me to do different when I do book reviews, because I've never done this before. And if you want me to go into like things that actually happened, because I can do that. I just didn't want to spoil it for you guys. Thank you guys for watching this and hanging out with me. I would like to pay my respects for Liam Payne. As much as this is really heavy for a lot of the One Direction girls, and honestly just, it's a tragedy and it's just awful. I went through grief very publicly, and I just want to remind everybody that your comments matter. What you say online, just because it's online doesn't mean anything. They matter and people read them, and they're very impactful on people's lives. Let's try not to support or consume news outlets like TMZ that have absolutely no respect or empathy for human beings. There's nothing more important than the way that you treat people. It is a direct reflection of yourself, and we should always treat people with kindness no matter what, because everything that you say matters. That's all I wanted to say. I know we're all trying our best, and I hope that everybody's doing well. I love you guys. Oh, thank you Bombas for sponsoring this week's video. I love you guys too.